All right, well, let's kick it off then. So the whole point of this presentation is just to update you guys. There was a new announcement last week, I think it was now, maybe a week and a half ago, and NRCan has launched a different portion of the initiative. So basically there's the Greener Homes program, which is now split into two sections. Section 1 was the grant program, which is still happening. It's still available. And now the second section is on the loan program. So they are working in conjunction with each other. And yeah, so now, and this is live. So clients are now able to take advantage of the grant and the loan program now. So we'll just talk about a little bit of background about how this came about, the grant itself, the grant program, which you guys already probably know about, and then the loan program, some different scenarios about how this works, how the program works, detailed walkthrough of the process so that you guys are aware, you can inform the clients, and also just so you know where your work fits into things and how quotes and invoices are going to play into this. And then there'll be some time for questions. So CMHC, which is the Canadian Mortgage Homeowners Corporation, was directed by the government to deliver an interest-free loan program to incentivize homeowners to complete deep retrofits on their existing homes. So they're eligible for up to $40,000 in the loan, and repayment is scheduled for 10 years. The grant program launched in May 2021, and since then the availability of this loan program has been highly anticipated. The Grant Home Initiative the Greener Home Initiative is seen as one initiative with these two components, as I said. So the grant and the loan program are both under this Greener Homes Initiative. So CMHC's role with NRCan is to ensure a seamless experience for the homeowners participating in this combined effort. And so the objective, the government's objectives was to help 700,000 people in Canada, Canadian homeowners, to improve the energy efficiency of their homes and reduce their energy bills through the retrofit grant. And then they're expecting that about 175,000 homeowners will benefit through the loan initiative, which is about 25% of the total applications they're going to receive. $7 billion of funding was provided by the government for this combined effort. So $2.6 billion for the grant program through NRCan and $4.4 further billion for the loan program through CMHC. So as you probably know, in the grant program, they're eligible for $600 for the evaluations for that pre-retrofit and post-retrofit evaluations. So they can receive up to $600 to cover those costs, and then up to $5,000 in addition for any retrofits that they undertake. And there's criteria. So it's not, you know, if there's a retrofit that's going to cost $5,500, it's not necessarily true that they'll get $5,000 for that. It depends on the retrofit based on the grant criteria. So I'm not going to get too much into that today, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I do have that information and can share that with you, but that's not really the focus of this particular presentation. So through the loan program, they're eligible for up to $40,000, and the minimum they can apply for, I believe, is $5,000. So the administration of these programs is jointly administered through NRCan and CMHC. And then under CMHC, there's also Intellify, which is the service provider who will be managing the basically the underwriting and the servicing, the repayment of these loans. They'll also provide help, like one-on-one help to customers if they need any, you know, if they have any questions through their contact center. And they're a third-party provider, of course, under CMHC. So eligible properties for the loan program are the exact same as eligible properties under the grant program. There's no differences here, so it has to be a primary residence, single or semi-detached houses, row housing, townhomes, mobile homes on permanent foundation, permanently moored floating homes, mixed-use buildings. Only the residential portion is eligible, and then small multi-unit residential buildings, also known as SMERS, my new favorite word. So, and of course, they have to be located in Canada. So the eligibility criteria is the same for loans as the grant program. There's some slight differences for Indigenous groups. They can apply for the grant and loan program as an organization, and they can have multiple properties under one ownership apply for the grants. So there are some nuances here. We haven't had a lot of experience yet with Indigenous properties, but we are, of course, we are servicing them as well. And if you do have any further questions about that, feel free to get in touch, and I'll send you directly to Suzanne, who is managing the Indigenous group applications. So a little bit more about grant eligibility, just a kind of an overview. So basically how it works for the clients is that they enroll in the grant initiative, which they can do basically right on the NRCan website. They just sign up for the program. They will answer some questions just to make sure that they are eligible. Again, those eligibility requirements. So they have to be primary residences and so on. So they'll go through that, and then they can have, so for the grant program, then they go ahead with the pre-retrofit evaluation. They go through, so yeah, they select and have the pre-retrofit evaluation completed, which is the same pre-retrofit that will be required for the loan program. And then they get their upgrades done, and then the post-retrofit is required to kind of complete the process. And this is the same post-retrofit that will be required for the loan program. So for the loan overview here, eligible homeowners can receive, again, up to $40,000 in interest-free loan, amortized over 10 years. The loan is only offered in conjunction with the grant program. So they have to register for the grant program to take part in the loan program. So they basically have to apply for that $5,000 grant, well, up to $5,000 in the grants, and then apply for the loan on top of that. Loans are funded upon verification of the completion of eligible recommended retrofits and a minimum loan of $5,000. So the requirements of the loan, so this is just, good information for you guys to share with clients if they're wondering. So they have to have the pre-retrofit done. Then they are required to provide like verification of borrower income and employment, debt obligations, borrower creditworthiness, home ownership, borrower identity, just ID, contractor quotes. So for you guys, the important part is they will require quotes, including deposits that are required, like everything that you need needs to be given to the homeowner in good detail so that they can receive the loan, the applicable loan. So including purchase orders, all of that. Retrofits must be completed, and proof of that must be provided via final invoices to determine the final loan amount, and post-retrofit completes the requirements. So like this is a bit of a sticky point, and there will be, I'm sure, some blowback for this, but basically the retrofit needs to be completed before they get their loan. So it's a little bit backwards, but depending, and like the timelines might not really work very, very well. So just a heads up, this is going to be a little sticky. It's going to be a little bit awkward, but I just want you guys to be informed of the process so that you're not surprised, or so you can work something out with the client that works for everybody in terms of repayment. So if someone is waiting for the loan to repay you, you might be waiting longer timelines than typical, or you have to work that out with the client so that they are paying upfront and then they get their loan money when they do. And right now I don't have any, because it's brand new, I don't really have any good timelines for you guys. But what I do know is that the post retrofit, when that's completed, energy advisors have 2 weeks to complete their report, and we are like Vertitech is working to basically shrink that timeline by at least half, so that you guys aren't, like the time doesn't just draw out. So we're going to be trying to narrow that down for within a week of the final inspection, basically our post retrofit. Then the report is completed within the week, the client gets a copy of the report, uploads it on their portal, and send it off to NRCan. Once that's received by NRCan and basically acknowledged as complete, that all of the retrofits have been done and all of the final invoices have been uploaded as well, then the payment can, speed along. Everything can go a little bit quicker. So we're going to do our best on our end to make that timeline fairly small. But just so you guys know, it is a bit of a backwards thing where they don't get the loan and then they pay you guys out upfront. It's going to be the other way around. So basically, whatever the final cost is, then they report that. And sometimes they'll have applied for a loan that is bigger than what they actually get done. Maybe they didn't get all of the retrofits done that they had requested the loan for. So that's part of the reasoning, I think, is that there needs to be proof for what they've actually completed. So moving on here, eligible borrowers, again, so the homeowner needs to be registered homeowner and at their principal residence, one unique address. They can receive a maximum grant of $5,000 and a maximum loan of $40,000. So effectively, they'll be receiving up to $45,000 in incentives to complete deep retrofits. And then there's some more details here about their eligibility for their loan. And then, so for small multi-unit building homeowners, they have to individually own the unit. So for like a condo, they have to own that single unit. For small multi-unit residents, so for basically like a basement suite, if they have a basement suite in their building, then they can receive up to $20,000 for the grant and up to $160,000 for their loan. And then for Indigenous groups, the authorized applicant can apply on behalf of multiple properties, as I mentioned before, and their maximum grant is $5,000 per property, which is a little bit different, and maximum loan is $40,000 average. So here's some scenarios. In scenario A, so the cost estimate based on contractor quotes is $11,000. The eligible retrofit cost is determined based on the criteria of the grant program. So, they might have some retrofits that actually don't fall under the grant program, so they're eligible for $9,000. And then the estimated grant amount, which is up to $5,000, so they might only receive $2,000 for those particular grants. So you basically subtract those. So $9,000 subtracting $2,000 gives you $7,000 for the loan. So they get $2,000 from the grant program, and then the remainder $7,000 is provided by the loan to receive their $9,000 for those retrofits. In scenario B, we're more maxing out the program. So the cost estimates for this bigger retrofit, or more expensive retrofit, I should say, is $55,000 based on the contractor quotes. Their eligible retrofit cost is $50,000. And so they can basically max out there, and the estimated grant amount is $5,000, so they will receive $40,000 from the loan program. So just to kind of have a bird's eye view of what this process actually looks like for the homeowner and where you guys fit into this. So the way it works is they apply for the grant via NRCan. Then the client would basically choose their service organization, such as Vertitech or Acacia Engineering, and then they have their pre-retrofit completed, and then the loan application is, so the way it works is that they apply for, they have their pre-retrofit done, and once that pre-retrofit report has been uploaded and acknowledged by NRCan, so it can take up to a month, then they can apply for their loan application. And basically that's through the same portal as their Greener Homes grant. So they go into their homeowner portal, and there will be a button there for the loan application. And that'll show up once NRCan has acknowledged the pre-retrofit. Then I'm just going through my notes here, sorry. Then in their loan, so in the loan application process, they'll identify the retrofit they would like to have completed, and they can't have begun the retrofits yet. So they have to have their quotes and basically present all that information to CMHC. CMHC will assess the application. At this point, a homeowner can apply for up to 15% of an advance. So if there's deposits that are required, this must be evidenced in the quotes, but then they can apply for this 15% advance. Indigenous Housing Services team at CMHC does the underwriting for the Indigenous group, so they actually have their own team there at CMHC. Otherwise, everything else is done through Intellify, that third-party company. If the loan is approved, the homeowner will then receive the advance if requested, and retrofits then get completed. Then the post-retrofit is done. Once the post-retrofit report has been uploaded and the client submits their final loan request, then the loan amount will be basically awarded. The loan will never increase. They can never get more than what they've requested, but it could decrease if the retrofit was not undertaken, for example. So if they didn't do that particular amount of insulation or whatever, then whatever was actually spent is how it will be assessed or allocated. So the loan is then calculated and funded out to the client, and the client then begins servicing. Basically, they start to pay back their loan on the first of the second month following the loan funding. They can also request grant disbursement at this time, so then they get their up to $5,000 from NRCan. Clients that have already done the process, so if they've already completed this grant program before the loan was announced last week, then they can apply for this, but it will be in the future once basically I think they let other people who haven't taken part in this program, that once they've had a chance, I think that's how they're going to do it, is announce in the future when the original grant participants can then apply for the loan program. Okay, so loans are, I'm almost done here too. Thanks guys for being here. So the last part here is how loan servicing works. So basically it'll be administered by Intellify in equal monthly payments through pre-authorized debits, and there's a prepayment permitted. Also, they can pay faster if they want. So this isn't like a mortgage where they have to have only equal monthly payments. They can also pay faster if they would like. Repayment begins on the first of the second month following the funding. So if they got their funding on June 25th, they would start repayment on August 1st. If a homeowner decides to sell their property, this triggers a full repayment of the loan because it is attached to that property tax number. So yes. And yes, a homeowner can apply at a new residence if they did move. So that's basically all I have for you guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can unmute yourselves and let me know. I'm just going to throw up some frequently asked questions up here while.
So you mentioned it's just a bit of the timing thing. So the homeowner gets their pre-retrofit evaluation completed, and you mentioned that it can take up to a month for that to, kind of get through all the systems like at NRCan. I'm concerned about, like, let's say the homeowner gets their pre-retrofit evaluation done. So that's completed by the energy advisor. And, they might wait several weeks for their actual report. What if we came in like shortly after the pre-retrofit was completed, but they hadn't received their report yet? Would that put them in jeopardy of getting the loan if we had come in and started our installation?
Yeah, this is a good question. So, and this is what I was saying about how, like, the way we're proceeding with things, we're actually hiring energy modelers to kind of keep that backlog down so that we can process anyone who's in the loan program, any files that are basically any homeowners that express interest in the loan program. We're going to expedite their files so that this particular problem is kind of mitigated from our end, at least. So the way it would work is, say Jason on the island does the pre-retrofit evaluation. He goes and gets the modeling done, or he submits his paperwork, and we have energy modelers complete that that portion of the file, and that can be done within a week. So our mandate is no more than 14 days from the date of inspection. However, we're going to bump it up so that it's no more than a week. Then that gets submitted, by that week, end of that week at latest, and then NRCan from there processes it. So that'll be like potentially another couple of weeks, maybe a month. So yeah, what the wording right now, and we can, if I get any updates, I will update you guys on any changes from NRCan's end. But the way it's worded right now, my understanding is that homeowners aren't to have any upgrades done until that retrofit, like until they've applied basically for their loan. So it is tricky that way for timing for your clients, and I know it's a little awkward for you guys, but yeah, if anything changes, I'll let you know, because I don't really understand why retrofits can't, like, basically,
Yeah, because
they have the quotes, they can
yeah,
upload the quotes.
My thinking
whenever.
is it's the uploading and completion of the post retrofit evaluation that is going to like inhibit a homeowner's ability to get the loan. And so like I would think that if the installation was started for the retrofits and completed, that wouldn't necessarily inhibit the homeowner's ability to get the loan. Obviously, it's not exactly doing things by the book.
Yeah, so yeah, like that's the thing, is I don't want to tell you you can do this and then you can like point it back at me, but like to me, I don't like if you have a quote for the homeowner, you provide them with a quote right away. They get that pre-retrofit done. They upload their quotes when they can, when they get that loan, like when they in the portal, when they get that loan button, they upload all of their quotes from you guys, and basically you should be able to complete the retrofit. But I can't say that officially from NRCan because that isn't how things are worded. So yeah, it's a little bit of a gray area right now, and I can imagine there will be some updates in the next couple of weeks when other service organizations like ourselves are kind of fighting back against some of these timelines.
Because it did seem like that process was okay for getting the $5,000 rebate, for example, right? Like as long as the pre-retrofit evaluation was completed before any work got started, that should have been fine. Especially because there was such a backlog when this program first got started. People couldn't find energy advisors right at the very beginning of this program. I don't think it's fair for people to have to wait for paperwork and just delays, maybe upwards of a month. It's in no one's best interest. It's not in the interest of the grant program, not in the interest of the service organizations, and not in the interest of the contractors or the homeowner, which is the most important.
Yeah, exactly. And we have submitted, like we've already come up with like a bunch of kind of complaints about the wording of this already. So like, yeah, again, I will update you, and I feel pretty confident that we're on the right track with this. That basically as long as they have the documentation that they need, then you just move forward. But I can't say that officially, but I think that's a fair assumption, Matt. Chris, I see your question here. So could you repeat the part about original grant receivers? So yeah, so the people who have already basically completed the grant program, they've had their post retrofit done for that first amount of upgrades. They will be considered again for the program, but not immediately. So they aren't eligible at this point to partake in the loan program. There will be an announcement by NRCan in the coming months. Sounds like potentially August. But that's an unofficial date.
Shannon, I had 2 questions for you.
Okay, Kyle, fire away.
I'm kind of newer to the program. Is there a max income?
Who are you with again?
I'm actually an energy advisor. I just do the independent contracting for you guys.
Okay, great.
Is there a max income that someone can have before they're for the grant program?
That's a good question. I don't actually know the answer to that right now. I don't think, I'm just gonna.
I'm pretty sure there isn't. I think it's just available to all Canadians. I don't think it's income dependent. I think as long as you're the homeowner and it's your primary residence, you should be fine.
Yeah, that was the impression that I got too. I just wanted to confirm.
Their wording is like basically what is your capability to pay the loan back. So yeah, to me it doesn't seem like there's a cap.
Okay.
On income. Yeah. What was your second question?
Maybe I just misheard you. Did you say if you sold the house, you could apply again? Or can you only do it once in a lifetime?
No, you can. So yeah, if you sell the house, a couple things happen. If you sell the house, it triggers a repayment of the full loan. If you have a new residence, you can also apply for the grant program again.
Okay.
For that house.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? Also, I realized I forgot to introduce myself. I think I was a little bit nervous at the beginning, so I didn't even introduce myself. But my name is Shannon Gablehouse, and I work with Vertitech, or the VT group of companies, and Acacia Engineering. So VT group of companies is made up of Vertitech, Acacia Engineering, and Qualistat. And so we are energy advisors. We're also energy modelers. We have mechanical engineers on staff for both residential and commercial. And then Qualistat is a building envelope specialist company. So we have inspectors who go out throughout the construction process. Also, they do warranty inspections as well for any issues going on with the house. So yeah, that's who we are. And if you do have any questions at all about the grant program or the loan program, or if your clients have any questions, please feel free to get in touch. You can email me. I'm going to be sending you guys another email out, so you can just use that email address. You can also reach me in my signature. There's the phone numbers there, so please don't hesitate to call. I'm super happy to support you guys because I know that there's a lot of information with these programs. So yeah, that's basically all I have for you guys today, unless there's any other questions.